Welcome to That One Show with Brian Combs. I'm joined today by festival promoter Dustin Kennedy. This fall, he will be putting on the sixth annual North Springs Music Festival, and it has a killer lineup that we'll get to momentarily. Dustin, thank you for joining the show. How are you today?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. I know we reached out on Twitter and kind of just invited myself. So I, I appreciate you making time for me.
Man, I'm always willing to talk music with anybody, anytime, anywhere. And So begin by telling us, well, for obviously the dates of the festival and the location.
Yeah, man. We're down here in Whitleyville, Tennessee. And if you don't know where Whitleyville, Tennessee's at, notice nobody else does either. It's North Springs. Our biggest merch seller every year is the Where the Heck is North Springs t-shirt. We're about an hour and a half northeast of Nashville, 2 hours from Knoxville. It's October 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Awesome. So who's let's talk about some of the acts you've got lined up this year. Who's the headliner? I think it's them Dirty Roses.
Yeah, so they've played their way up the bill, man. They played in 2023 for me the first time. They wanted Cody Canada. I'm a big Cross Canadian Ragweed
Mm,
fan, and Cody Canada and The Departed was the headliner that year, and their booking manager just said that was their idol and they wanted on the bill, so they played direct to them. That Cody Canada that year. They played direct support to Ward Davis last year. So I'm a very loyal guy, so I thought, man, they've come in 2 years in a row and done their job. So I thought, man, this is their year to headline the Saturday night bill. So
I had the privilege of seeing them. It's probably 2021 at a
uh,
music festival in North Carolina, and I that was my first exposure to the band, and I was blown away. They're a great live act. For
oh yeah,
folks not familiar with them, I think they are. I would venture to say they were probably Southern rock, is
yeah,
if, in the vein of Skinnerd, uh, and bands of that nature, and they put on a hell of a show. So you've got a great headliner there. Uh,
yeah. It's funny because this is a country music festival at its roots.
right, right.
This is in a hayfield, Brian. This is my grandpa's farm dating back to 1883 down here.
Wow.
And when we started it, I just thought it was during COVID when we started it. And I thought, hell, we can't do anything inside. We got this hayfield. Let's just do something, And it was pretty small the first couple of years, and then I said, man, I'm bringing this rock band down next year. And everybody said, no, 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 it's the country music festival. Don't bring a rock band. I said, well, it's more Southern rock. It's not like it's death metal or anything like that. And now everybody, you better have them Dirty Roses on the lineup, and they're good dudes. They get a little rowdy now, which is
Yep.
fine with me. But yeah, I'm proud for them because they've been really good to me, and uh, just getting people. Once you get the artist here, that's the hardest thing. If you say, well, where the heck is North Springs? Then well, we're going to play in my hayfield on my grandpa's farm. It's a hell of a selling point to these booking managers. Let me tell you. But they get here and
Uh,
they love it.
you've got somebody that I'm a huge fan of, not just as a musician, but as a person on the bill this year, and Justin Wells. Uh, that's one of the best dudes in the music industry, and he and I go back several years. He's local to my area, which is Kentucky. He's out of Lexington, Kentucky, via Cynthiana, via Louisiana. Is this the first time he's played your fest, or is he returning?
Oh man, me and Justin actually go back about 12 years as well.
Awesome.
I met him in a show, and I always like referencing it. And it's the day that music changed for me, Brian, is Shooter Jennings did a surprise birthday party for Waylon in
Mm.
Nashville in June 2012. And as a Kentucky guy, you're about to really appreciate this lineup. Um, Shooter said, you don't have a clue who's on this bill, but in a few years, you're going to be telling people you saw a free concert with these names on it. And it was Justin Wells, Leroy Virgil from Hellbound Glory,
Hmm.
Heidi Morgan, and a guy named Sturgill Simpson uh, uh, a year before High Top Mountain came out.
Yes.
And
Oh man, that's awesome.
oh, dude, I drank a little bit more back then than I do now. I'm 41. Not big, not a huge drinker. I'm not still afraid to have a cold, refreshing Bush Light from time to time. But back then, by the time Sturgill took the stage, I was feeling pretty good, and I really regret that. My phone was dead, so there's no video evidence of any performance. I just remember thinking, I'm hearing something I've never heard, before, and that was cool. But Justin and I met that night. Um, we don't remember it; we just know it happened. Um, the next year we met at the Exit Inn, and then he started playing shows for me. He played the festival in its third year in 2022. He played my 40th birthday with Jason Eady and Addison Johnson and Rye Davis back in December 23. Bought me a
Right.
big bottle of Four Roses. Man, I
I
love him. I love that guy so much. And
I
I
think
listen to your podcast with him too.
appreciate that. So I think Jason Eady's playing the festival this year too, right?
Yeah, and it's just those two. And it's so cool for me because Jason Eady is my guy, and I interviewed him back in that same show in 2012 when I asked Shooter. I said, I've never heard any of these guys. I've never heard of Justin Wells or Whitey Morgan or Sturgill Simpson. I said, give me another name I need to know. He said, man, there's a cat down in Texas, Fort Worth area. He's the baddest SOB. Nobody knows. His name is Jason Eady. Through Jason Eady, I found Courtney Patton. Through Courtney Patton, I found Cody Jinks. And that whole night just changed because you only know what you know. And I was getting sucked into mainstream radio, and I knew I didn't like it. But back in 2011, 2012, streaming wasn't as huge as it is now, and going down rabbit holes on TikTok and finding people. You know what I mean? And
Right.
um, so I mean, hell, I went to a Brantley Gilbert concert on purpose in 2011 because I didn't know no better.
Well, I don't know
You
if
know,
I would. I don't know if I would admit that live for the whole internet to know, man.
I know, I know, but that show with Shooter turned me on to a whole nother world. And I interviewed Jason on an old podcast I used to do in 2017. He texted me and said, "Man, that was fun." He said, "I don't even like interviews, but that was just a conversation. Come," he said, "see what the next closest show I have is, and come to it." And it just happened, and you'll probably know this guy. It was at Jeff Cox's house in
Yes.
Lexington, and it
Mm-hmm.
was Justin and Jason on bar stools sitting
Mm.
in a living room. And man, I've admired Jason. I think he's one of the best. I think he's a troubadour, as far as that word goes these days. He's just a modern day troubadour. And he played the second ever show. I did 4 acoustic shows in 2019 before the festival started. And I had him and his ex-wife, Courtney, before I even deserved to have them. You know what I mean? It was at a crappy old fairgrounds building here in our hometown. Bathroom leaked every time somebody used the bathroom. It was embarrassing after it was over. I had Jason and Courtney, Texas royalty. But I told him that night, we were sipping on a little bottle of whiskey, and I said, man, one of these days I'd like to do a music festival. He goes, yeah, those get expensive, and long story short, that was in March 2019. October 2020, the festival started, and he headlined the third year, October 2022, and Justin was on that one as well. This is the first time they've both been back since that year.
So let's talk about the actual planning process for a festival. Like when you start thinking about who you want, to play the festival for the upcoming year, do you just get a long list and start reaching out to folks, or what's your process in actually building a lineup?
Yeah, the first 2 years it was just a lot of local folks, just to get it off the ground. Rye Davis, are you familiar with Rye Davis up there in Kentucky?
Absolutely. I've seen him live
Yeah.
several times.
Okay, good buddy of mine. He headlined our first year with Brandon Martin. Um, and that was the biggest name we had was Rye the first year. And him and Brandy have been so good to me, and I try to be good to them. They're just great people. Um, so it was 90% local acts that first year, just trying to get it off the ground. Second year, I had Julie Roberts, breakdown here fame. Back in the day, she headlined, and her and Alex Williams was the two biggest names. But then, yeah, you start shifting. As I learned more about this independent scene, I didn't know this whole world existed. Laurel Cove Music Festival up there in Pineville that does such a phenomenal job. I didn't know about it. I didn't know about anything else. I just was kind of dumb luck, stumbled upon this, and I knew I wanted Jason year 3. I knew I wanted Justin because of my history with them. I'd found Cole Chaney around that time, so I wanted Cole to come play it. So yeah, it's kind of like just the more you get relationships with people that, especially by year 4 when Cody Cannon and them Dirty Roses play, it's kind of like you got to get them down here, and you got to hope like hell they enjoy it and go back and tell their booking manager. And now I've got good relationships with people, so people are reaching out to me, which is mind boggling. It's This year alone, like Ben Chapman and Adam Hood, who I respect. I mean, Adam Hood's one of the most respected songwriters in the genre, and Ben Chapman's a pretty big up and comer. He's here. I mean, I don't know if up and comer applies to Ben Chapman or not, but both those guys, management reached out, and I thought, man, that's kind of cool because just begging people to come here just 2 years ago, and now the word's out. Taylor Honeycutt really enjoys playing here. Uh,
You mentioned Cole Chaney, and you mentioned earlier that you saw Sturgill right before he dropped his solo album, his first one, after he left Sunday Valley. I actually got to see Cole Chaney. Gosh, I guess it's been 4 years ago. At on a playing acoustic on a porch at a barbecue joint in Slade, Kentucky, with maybe
yeah,
25 other people there. And he's really about to blow up. I think he's got that new album coming out later this year, and it's being distributed by 30 Tigers there out of Nashville that puts out a lot of good music. So uh, I've always been adamant, like when you have a chance to see somebody in a smaller, intimate venue, go. Because like you said, 10 years from now, you say, hey, I saw that dude in a room with 50 people, and now he's playing for 10,000 people.
that's right. And that Kentucky scene, it's on fire. You know, there's something, I don't know what's in the water up there with musicians, but you know, Cole played for me in December 21 on a suggestion from a friend, and people loved him right off the bat here. And he played North Springs 22, 23. Not been back since 23, but man, I got a lot of respect. The kid's a stud. I'm curious the direction he's heading in with his music, and it's kind of like with his I know he's a fan of grunge, kind of grunge rock. You know, I've seen him cover Stone Temple Pilots and stuff like that several times, and Alice in Chains. So interesting to see where he's going. I uh, thank a lot of that dude as far as giving me a chance to play. Just like he was early in his career, I was early booking music, so it was kind of cool to have that partnership for a while. And yeah, he's gonna do some cool things. I think for sure.
So say like the festival obviously continues to grow. Uh, from our conversation here, you started basically with just local acts. What would be realistically the one artist that you would love to have in the future that you've not had play the festival yet?
That's a good question because man, um I don't have tourism dollars. I like to say I don't have generational wealth or that FU money or it's me, and it's I've been treated very good by our little community here of Jackson County, Tennessee. But the money comes from me going up here to H&H Hardware on Saturday mornings and asking Jordan for a $500 check, or I got the coolest damn dentist in the world, Alexa Miller. I go up to her to get my teeth cleaned. She goes, I need to get your sponsorship check, and that's what funds it. And until I run up on some tourism dollars or some big money, I'm just very fortunate that these guys that have came still work with my budget because I try to treat them right and they know what they're getting themselves into. And more times than not, I know this is a sidebar from your question, but they're just treated different at some of these shows like this. It's a more intimate, people are right up on the stage at them, and I know that's not the question you asked, but I don't know, man. I'm a big Shooter Jennings fan. I know he doesn't play anymore. Cody Canada, even though he already played, I had
Well,
too good of a time.
you know,
Huh?
they've reunited, man.
I
Cross
know.
Canadian has.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I try to tell people how cool of a deal that was and how big of a deal it was that he played. It was the front man from Ragweed, and
Yeah,
some people knew, some people didn't. And then I was real sure on Facebook to remind people that when they sold 180,000 tickets in Stillwater, Oklahoma, over 4 nights, I'm like, hey, this is the guy. This is the same lead singer and the same songs that was down here in this hayfield 2 years ago
right.
that y'all didn't see. you know, I don't know. There's some. Brent Cobb is the guy that people keep asking me to
Mm.
try to get. Silverado, formerly Mike and the Moon Pies. That's a band that people keep kicking around. Um, I don't know. There's a few. I'd have to think about that. It's a good question, but I don't. Um, maybe I should have been prepared for that once I could have talked it into existence. Maybe they saw it and decided to come play.
So let's talk about music in general just for a minute.
Yeah.
What's an album that's came out this year that you've really loved? Any genre.
Well, Justin
Ah,
Simeon.
yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's just what a dude, you know what I'm saying? Making his record just for his wife. I mean, if I was as good as with my wife as Justin is his, I'd probably have some major brownie points in the house, you know, but he's just an awesome dude. Really love Tony Logue's new record, Dark Horse.
Mhm.
Um, Another Kentucky guy, you know, different side of Kentucky, but Western Kentucky, but did you listen to that one at all much?
Yeah, yeah, I like it. Really
Big
enjoyed
fan of
it.
Tony and those guys. Um, I've not got a chance. I just downloaded Tyler's this morning. I've not had a chance to listen to it, just other than a couple songs while I was doing dishes for my wife this morning on my day off. Um, give me something I'm missing.
Well, let's talk about that Tyler album real quick, cause uh, I've listened to it a couple times already.
Uh,
It's different than anything he's put out. And I always like for an artist to try new things. We mentioned Cole Chaney earlier in the direction he's
yeah,
going. I mean, if you have a hit album, you can just keep on releasing variations of those same songs the rest of your career, but you never really grow as an artist.
that's
And
right.
I've been following Tyler for years and years. And this album, man, uh, it's unbelievable. Rick Rubin obviously produced it, and I think he's helped him find something that maybe he didn't know he had in him. Uh, I know some people may be turned off of it because they just want to hear, White House Road, Charleston Girl, and Feathered Indians over and over again.
Right.
But it always excites me that an artist to watch them grow. And for people that said that he's went soft, he's got more F bombs on this album than all the other ones that he's released put
Yeah.
together. So I don't know if that was intentional. It's like, hey, you all think I've went soft? Here you go.
Yeah, I noticed he took the F word off Nose on the Grindstone, but that first track was just full of F bombs and GD and
That's not the last one either, man.
yeah, okay.
There's
Except
a
I'm only about three songs in or now.
there's a song on there called Biting List in which he talks about who all would be on his biting list should he ever get rabies. And it's unbelievable, man. But yeah, it's
Right.
great. It's a great album. There is a band out of Iowa that I really like that put out their first full length album this year called Lady Revel.
Okay.
It's a little bit. It's almost like a pop soul type album, R&B maybe. I'm
Hmm.
biased because one of my best friends plays bass for him, but even then, I really enjoy it.
Okay. I have to look that up.
Yeah, and uh, let me ask you this: we kind of joked about turning this entire episode about Hulk Hogan, who unfortunately just passed away.
Yeah.
But I gather that you're a wrestling fan because when you made the lineup announcement on Facebook this year, you said in the words of DX, "Are you ready?"
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm a huge Shawn Michaels fan too.
for me, Shawn Michaels is the greatest in-ring performer ever in wrestling, but
Hey,
that's
no, you get no argument from me.
I think Duke could get a five-star match wrestling a trash can.
Yeah. Well, and it's just for me, he's the whole package. He had good mic skills. He could sell, you know, oversell, one might say, in that Hulk Hogan match.
That's
Um, yeah. But he made you believe, you know, in a business that everybody knows is a work. He could work with smaller guys. He was great with bigger guys, with Sid and with Kevin Nash and things like that. Yeah, for me, he's the greatest of all time. But I can also differentiate that between biggest box office versus, you know, to me, there's two conversations. There's the who's the biggest of all time, Austin, Hogan, Rock. Then there's who's the greatest in-ring performer of all time. Is it Ric Flair? Is it Shawn Michaels? To me, I grew up in the era where it's Shawn. You know, I know Rick done a lot of good things, but I'm 41 and I grew up as a Rockers fan, and from the Heartbreak Kid to DX and to the cross-eyed bald guy at the end. You know, I'm a HBK fan for life. To me, to me, I pick Hogan over Austin as the greatest of all time, is the biggest name of all time. And that's not to say I don't love Stone Cold because the two peaks of those boom eras of the golden age of WWF and the Attitude Era, I was very much in the demographic for both. I was a 6 year old with my Hulkamania gear, you know, and cuffing my ear to the TV every Saturday morning. And then when Austin was, you know, shooting birds and drinking beer, I'm 14, full of, you know, puberty's hit, and I'm tired of the red and yellow. And I'm all stone cold. But to me, I guess it's the longevity that Hogan did it from, the 70s and all throughout the 80s, the 90s. He stayed relevant. When he was getting stale with WCW, he knew when to turn heel to go with the NWO. And for
Biggest heel
Austin,
turn of all time, too, man. It's not
oh
even.
yeah, yeah, and these people on Twitter are saying John Cena
No, no, no.
doesn't even compare. There's not even it's Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan is the greatest heel turn ever. Then But with Austin, it was his peak may have been just as large as Hogan's. Most T-shirts sold and all that stuff, but the sample size was so short. 96 when he quoted Austin 316 to '03 when he retired. It's just, yeah, I
I,
can
s-
see if Austin's your greatest of all time, I'll give you that. But for me, it's Hogan.
I agree, and because here's the deal. Wrestling was like a regional thing pretty much until Hogan and Vince
Yeah,
McMahon came up with, the real American persona, and it took it not just national, but just in a couple of years, they had 90 some thousand people in Detroit,
yeah.
him and Andre. So I don't think wrestling would have ever gotten to where it still is today had Hogan not been what he was back in the 80s, man.
And I agree. And I did an emergency podcast. I was up till 2 a.m. One of my best wrestling nerd friend, uh, 50 years old. He was out in San Diego at a Comic Con last night. So he called me at midnight Central Time here, and we had an emergency Hulk Hogan podcast. And my argument with that, as far as he's a Randy Savage fan, which
Mm.
that's fine. Macho's cool, but what I told Don was the two biggest things Hogan ever did, like you said, take it from a regional Northeast territory to a global phenomenon, and then the NWO turn. I said, if you
Mm.
replace him with anybody else, if Vince would have strapped the rocket onto Randy Savage, I don't think it had the same.
Well, they tried.
He tried, and he tried it with Warrior, and it just wasn't the same as Hulk Hogan. So, and flip that with the NWO gimmick, it's always rumored that Sting was going to be the third guy. There's no way, and as big as Sting was, and as he was a WCW guy, it never would have had the same effect as Hulk Hogan. It's just, and that just shows his star power.
All right, so that was a
Yeah, we could.
good
Yeah,
side conversation about wrestling, but let's get back
yeah,
to music. So,
yeah.
do you have aspirations of doing stuff other than the festival? I know you mentioned you've done a few acoustic shows that you've promoted and stuff. Do you do stuff throughout the year? Or is the festival pretty much it?
I've been. So our fairgrounds was all I had originally, and then we had some Gainesboro's a smaller town, it's a very small town, but they've had some little places to open, not a music venue per se. And I'm a busy guy, and I would love to have a music venue of my own because Brian, you don't know how many people I miss out on because there's only so many spots on the festival. Even though I try to jam it, as you've seen in the lineup, as many people as I could. Um, but it just happens like if we're in November and somebody goes viral or somebody does this, it's sometimes it's hard to try to get somebody in November for October the next year. So yes, it would be nice to have a venue to be able to bring in for an individual show in January or whatever. But right now, I've worked with several businesses, a moonshine distillery and a couple restaurant and bars here in Gainesboro. But I would love to do something. There's an old barn down here on the farm. I'd love to turn into I can already envision the Tobacco Barn series or the
Hmm.
Tobacco Barn sessions or something. Um, because I feel like people like Justin called me one day. Wells called me, said, "Hey, I'm playing the Southgate. Love to connect with you, and just looking for some routing." And I have to turn that stuff down because I don't have a venue. So,
So, so you have aspirations of hopefully maybe getting a venue one day?
well, you never know. I've kicked around the idea. I don't know. I would love to just because the festival's a lot of work, but I'd really enjoy the one-off shows as well. We've had some cool one-off shows and got one planned for December. We got to iron the date down, but Bill Taylor and Appalachian Heathens,
Mm.
uh, they're going to come back down. Of course, did you see the story on North Springs last year with Bill Taylor?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I'm happy for that dude, man. He's a good dude, local Kentucky boy.
tell you,
And
man, some in the water.
he he got on America's Got Talent, and I forgot how many millions of people at the last time I looked at watched that video on YouTube. But that dude deserves anything he gets in the future, man.
Yeah, 10 million. Yeah, I don't know about his manager, Jason Parton guy. He's kind of sketchy, but I'm joking. I love him. Um, no, Bill, that was just a cool thing when he come up there and Parker Barrow blew out the transformer. I'm gonna drop us. Parker Barrow, I don't think really blew the transformer. I think it was one of our food trucks generator had failed, so they hooked up to our stage power. But that's nowhere near as cool of a story as a Southern rock band blowing out the transformer. They rock so hard. But yeah, Bill said, "Hell with that power, man. Come on, I'll go play."
I tell
And
you what, to get back to Justin, that just reminded me of the first time I ever saw him play. He played in my hometown at a barbecue joint, Thatcher's Barbecue Company. Played in the parking lot, and I I had just discovered him. The only album he had, I remember him from Fifth on the Floor days in
right,
Lexington, but he had just put out his solo album Dawn in the Distance. So I guess they were probably about 30 people there watching this dude, and I immediately was blown away about how good he was live. And he had his full band with him, and one song in, it started raining real bad. So he said, "We'll just play." He asked if anybody had an acoustic guitar, so he actually borrowed one and started playing acoustic. And it started just an absolute monsoon broke out, and almost everybody left. There might have been 7 or 8 of us stayed, and I think it was maybe like $15 a ticket, and nobody would have been mad if he called it quits. But he literally crammed us all under his merch tent and just played acoustically for an hour, dude. And I was like, man, this dude, he's it.
I love man. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about Justin Wells, and if you hear somebody say something about Justin Wells, then don't trust that person.
That's right, man.
You know,
So
and
uh, we mentioned that you might want to open a venue. Let's talk about like some of your favorite venues to watch a concert at. Just give me one or two.
my favorite in the world. I mean, there's the Ryman. Everybody knows the Ryman, and but the Shed. I wear their merch here. The Shed in Maryville, Tennessee. It's a Harley
Yes,
Davidson.
yeah, it's outdoor
Man,
venue, right?
listen, those guys are phenomenal. Scott Maddox, the owner, he's a local guy here in Upper Cumberland. Sold his business up in Cookeville, moved to Maryville, opened that shop up. I've been going to shows there since 2007, and to see the growth of that place. When they first opened, they only sold two beers. They sold Miller Lite and Coors Light. And
They didn't even
we
have
still work.
PBR.
No, they didn't have the hipster. No, they didn't even have Bush Light. I'm just tickled to death they got Bush Light now. But man, I've seen Ragweed and Shooter and Stapleton and Sturgill, just everybody. And Jamie Johnson had a good show there years ago. But those guys, Indiana, and Jay, they treat me like family when I'm up there. It's just a Blackberry Smoke reunion, brothers and sisters reunion shows they do every year. So it's if someone nobody's checked that out, they need to check it out. A place I've never been, so I can't really call it my favorite, but I love what they're doing. They sponsor my festival every year. It's the Bird's Nest Listening Room in Dunn, North Carolina. Sean and Carla Bass. They have a little listening room, only holds about 60 people, but it's a listening room at its finest, from what I've seen. The Burl's cool in Lexington. I enjoy going there for
That's my
shows.
favorite. I love that. I love my favorite haunt right there, man.
It's
Uh,
just chattery, man. Every time I've been there, it seems like the crowds are. I've had a couple bad crowds. Is that normal? Is that probably not normal, is it?
no, I've never had a bad crowd there. I don't know what's up with that, man.
Yeah. That I do like getting up there when I get to Lexington. Um, I like Third and Lindsley in Nashville. They support a lot of good independent country music. Used to be Exit In. Exit In's legendary in Nashville, but seems like the guys that used to play Exit In are playing Third and Lindsley now more so. But
Uh,
yeah,
the is it the Bluebird Cafe there in Nashville too?
man, that's cool. And you and I
Yeah,
could be on the bill and we sell that thing out in 45 seconds. They sell it out no matter who's on the bill.
that's right. That's right.
I've seen, and I tell you what, I was at Edie's debut there, and he brought Justin Wells with him. And Justin said, "Man, I had no idea the history of this place because I was at the Burl with them on Friday. My wife made me go home. Me and Jason were going to go lay out and drink, and my wife made me go back to the hotel. And so Jason said, 'Hey, what are you doing tomorrow night? I'm making my Bluebird debut. Love to have you on my guest list.' And so I met him and Ben Danaher and Justin. And Justin, I was with him before the show, and Justin said, I had no idea the history of this place. And he's like, it means so much to Jason that I wanted it to mean as much to me. And then the next night I hosted on at our Moonshine Distillery here in Gainesboro, Jason and Ben and Addison Johnson. I would love to talk about Addison before I get off here.
Yeah, let's go
Um,
ahead. Go ahead.
And Justin's like, "Hey, what have I got to do to get on that bill tomorrow night?" And so I paid him a little extra money, and he come down was our surprise guest. We hit his big ass in the back for 3 hours.
Talk about
Uh,
Addison real quick before before we
yes,
call it quits on the conversation.
yeah, man, he's got a new single out today. Maybe I'm lonely too. I just think that dude. I mean, first off, he's a 30, whatever he is, 33, 34-year-old guy stuck in 1980. He wears his George Jones bomber jackets and his big all his vintage clothes. That dude is a traditional country artist in a world where we need traditional country artists. Zach Top is taking over the world. It's just a daggum shame that more people don't know Addison Johnson. He's got a song called Out of Control that, man, it's one of the best drinking songs you'll ever. Are you familiar with that song?
Yes.
Okay. And he's got one, man, and I can't wait. It's in the hands. I don't want to jinx it. I don't know what I can say, but he's got a song called F5, and it's about a storm in Oklahoma, a twister in Oklahoma in the spring, and it says the man's gets off work and he's going home to try to get his wife and save her from the storm, and he walks in and she's in bed with another man.
Oh Lord.
So he kills them, leaves them laying. The F5 comes through. Nobody can know he killed him because the tornado got him. And the chorus says, F her, F him, F5.
So is that song out yet or no?
It's I had to scrub it off all my social media. There's some people looking at it and I don't want to jinx it, but man, if everything's right in the world with country music, that somebody big time in the industry is going to grab that song and put it on radio.
Hopefully so. Yeah.
He's a stud, man. That dude, he'll call me, man. He'll call us like, "Hey, I just wrote another one." And I said, "I ain't got no reason to lie to you unless you're gonna pay my house payment." And he's never wrote a bad song. I'll champion for that guy. We're going down to Nashville tonight to Eric Church's bar at Chiefs for him and Jason Eady tonight.
Awesome. So before we close, tell people how they can get tickets to the fest. Anything else they need to know? I'll definitely put a link in
Okay.
the show comments here, both on podcast and on YouTube for people to click on if they want to check out the festival this October. Just briefly tell everybody the name of it again,
Okay.
and where they can get tickets.
Yeah, if you don't know this big banner that my wife, I would have never figured out how to do that. My wife done that. So because I'm in our kitchen with all the gathering and eat and all the signs that tells you you're in the kitchen. So I had to cover that stuff up. But no, it's NorthSpringsMusicFestival.com is where you can get your tickets. We're in a very rural area again. My granddaddy's hayfield. I try to keep it as rural. The local people think it's expensive, and the people who travel for music festivals all across the world tell me how cheap I am, and they would pay double. It's $60 a day. You get 11 acts per day. You can do a 2-day pass for 120. You can camp on site for $75 and under. Car and tent camping's 30 for the weekend. RV and pull behind is $75 per unit, not per person. So it's a heck of a deal. And everybody's favorite thing, they can bring their own chair in, sit where they like, and you can bring your own cooler in for $20. So you can
Mm.
bring all the beer and liquor and whatever you want. I said, but like my one rule, you got to act like you've been in public before.
So don't
We
get
don't.
too rowdy.
No, well, you can get rowdy, just don't get stupid. I don't care if you can get redneck, just no fights, no drama. Um, but yeah, it's the most affordable thing I think you can do. We're all tired of going to these festivals and it's $300 for the weekend or $400 and you're buying 10, 12, $15 beers and
That's right.
long lines. Man, it's just I don't get rich off of this thing, but getting rich off of it's not why I do it. I love it because I love music and I want to give a platform for artists like Taylor Honeycutt and them Dirty Roses and Addison Johnson and Rod Davis and Wes Ship and Tim Gooden and Bill Taylor and Jason Eady and Justin Wells. They're my guys. And Tony Logue, Wes Ship. Hell, I don't, I'm pandering all of them now, but Courtney Patton's playing this year, Aaron Vinecourt, Joe Stam. It's Adam Hood bench, and it's a Taylor Austin Dye, another Kentucky girl. She's a
Yes.
Kentucky. She's
Yes.
playing Friday night. I mean, it's a who's who of independent country, and I'm very proud of the lineup. We were on a pull behind trailer that first year. We got a real stage and everything, and it's grown and it's funny. I'll go out to the liquor store, the grocery store, gas station. hung up a flyer, and everybody's like, "Oh, is this the first year, second year?" And I say, "No, this is year five, year six." And I said, "Well, they've never heard of it." And I said, "Well, last year they come from Alaska and Germany and Canada and California.
Wow.
They
I
don't
have
know
to say,
about it."
I have to say, I think you chose the perfect time of year for a music festival. I really enjoy festivals, but man, most of them are in the summer. It's 150 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Early October's perfect weather. Foliage is starting to turn. So, did you do that by choice? That you said, okay, let's do one in the fall?
No, I did it because it's in our hayfield. And it's the last time I know it was, you don't, if you live on a farm, you don't know when hay's going to be ready to cut. But I know it's ready. We get to do our final cut in about end of September,
That's right.
so that was why. I mean, but
Okay.
luckily, yeah. But like Addison said on the podcast the other night, he goes, North Springs, one of those, it feels like a playoff game. And man, it made me feel good when he said that. He goes, it's the first weekend of the year where, starts getting a little chillier. He said, but the artists come up and he's like, everybody seems like they want to one up each other at North Springs. He said, it's like
Mm,
a playoff atmosphere. We're right there by the creek. There's a creek runs right beside the house. I mean, it's so crazy. You got all these big corporate festivals, and this is in my daddy's house is right there. you know, his little car shed and man caves right there behind the stage. Um, but yeah, it's something different. It's well, you can't really understand it till you're here. When Taylor Honeycutt come off her bus last year, she looked at the hills and was like, "Oh my God, this is beautiful." Jeremy Plato, the bass player for Cody Canada, same thing the year he came. We just walked around looking at the farm at 8:30 that morning.
mm.
So love to have you down. If you're not doing anything that weekend, let me know and I'll put you on our guest list, man.
I appreciate that, man. Let me check my calendar and I'll get back with you. We're getting ready to close down. Once again, I want to thank Dustin Kennedy for coming on talking about his awesome festival that's upcoming in early October, the North Springs Music Festival. He's got a hell of a lineup. We'll put a link to the festival's website if you want to try to get tickets to go check that out. Just look at the show comments, click on that link. We'll make it easy as possible. Thanks again, Dustin, for your time today, my friend.
Brian, thank you very much.
All right, man.
Thanks.